So welcome officially to the Astral Projection Workshop Part 3. It's really an honor to be able to provide this to you for just the world as a whole and everybody who's showing up. You know, when we can't leave our homes or when we really want to have many more experiences in life, whatever the setting, whatever the era, astral projection is really liberating and really fun and really empowering. So this is the third workshop in the series, and a few people have been to the first two. And if you end up liking the workshop and you want them, just shoot me a DM, or if you sign up for a future one on Eventbrite, there's a way of getting the recordings for all the past ones. So this is going to be a workshop that covers more intermediate and advanced level stuff, but there's enough foundations, enough beginner level things that you can watch this even if you hadn't shown up for the other two. So as usual, I'm simulcasting. So if I look right here, it's for Facebook and YouTube. Right up there, it's for Instagram. So I also encourage, if you ever have any type of a question, things you want to learn about astral projection, type it wherever you're viewing this live. And I check those periodically and especially at the end. So a quick overview and definition, and expanded definition if you've been to the previous workshops. There's a key component to understanding the nature of self. And if you've heard me say this before and heard other people say it before, it's actually valuable to hear it again. Because until you're always living as your higher self, as your soul, however you define that, astral projection will be a thing that you do when you plan to do it. It won't be something you do all the time or you walk in. So in workshop 2, we talked about walking meditations, walking projections, combining that with intuition, which we can touch more on today. But in general, the more you have something in your conscious mind, in your conscious attention, the more likely you are to remember it and do it and be it and live from it. So how do we live from what Dr. Sue, who I'm a big fan of, calls the soulful self? So the soulful self is kind of an overarching term for higher self, for embodied future self, or essentially like the best version of you that you choose to be, that you wish to be, that you see yourself as. And so given that perspective, you can at any time be living from ego mind or soulful self. So just to be really succinct and efficient, I'm going to use the word soul. And I define soul in a lot of other terms in a certain container. And so just a tiny bit of housekeeping. Whenever you hear a word like spirit or soul or astral body or enlightenment, there's traditional definitions of that stuff. And there's also custom definitions per container. So if you see a YouTuber talk about their spiritual awakening, it'd be very different from, Sadhgurus or Mujis or Eckhart Tolle's or the Dalai Lama's. Awakening, and all of this is my perspective as a fellow student. We're all learning all the time, right? But I've had 23 years in the field, so I think I have a decent grasp. But enlightenment is a continuum, and every skill is a continuum, right? So as you practice, say, leaving your body, which we'll do a bit of today, along with some magical theory and other fun stuff, as you practice that, well, your ego mind's, your small self's goal might be, oh, I want to visit faraway places. I want to fly around Machu Picchu. I want to get 10 friends together and have an astral hangout if we can't hang out in person, or if we're in all different parts of the world and things are normal, right? I want to use astral projection to manifest stuff, to have things in my life that I want related to money or relationships or friendships or where you live or opportunities, right? All those are things that usually align with the smaller self, with the ego mind. As your higher self comes more online, as you live from and become an arm or a soul, your goals essentially and your preferences align more with who you are in the bigger picture, in the grand perspective of everything, of not just this life, however many decades, but this reality as a whole. And by this reality, we're talking about including past lives and other incarnations. And I want to give you a little bit of past life regression. We're covering a bit more of that in the next workshop. But when you identify like who you are more as soul compared to more as ego self, right? More as a closer to something like an I am than your first name, for example, or whatever name, whatever you choose to be called, then what you feel drawn to is more aligned with your life purpose. And I define life purpose as the intention you set before this incarnation, before you incarnated. So what does that mean? Just to unpack it and even to clarify it. So say right now it is Saturday and you plan your day for Monday. And from Monday from 2 to 4, you plan to clean, right? Or you plan to do something. That's your purpose for that window. Your purpose is to clean. And maybe your reason why there's a bigger thing behind that, but essentially this incarnation, one out of say 100,000, you could say it's infinite really, but say 100,000. So for this, sliver of time in your existence, your purpose is what? Right, and I'm asking you because this is an experiential workshop, even though it's alive and you might just be hearing from me, you can participate psychically by, communicating to me psychically through this video medium, even if it's at a different time, but also for little projects and progress for yourself. And even if you just think about stuff and don't write it down, you make progress. So again, what is your purpose in this life? What is your purpose in this life? Right? And the first thing that comes in intuitively, the first insight, the first few words, the first words trying to creep out, but then your ego mind or your perceived criticisms or critiques of peer group and family, kind of stamp it down. But deep within what your purpose is, I would offer. Now, your mind might be really busy and it might be full of shoulds. I should do this. I shouldn't do that. This is who I am. This is who I've been known by. And somebody asked about Akashic records. Thank you. Please ask any question as it comes and I'll wrap it in at the right time. So the right time for this is, could you check the Akashic records, the collective unconscious, for your purpose? Say your intuition is not fully online. Say you have blocks in your chakras. Say that your purpose is related to something that triggers you, which, the more the wound is the gift. So the bigger the wound, likely the bigger the gift, right? So the Akashic records in this case would be both an effective way of checking on your purpose and spiritual bypassing. So the definition of that, and it's always good to have it in the forefront of your mind, even if we've written papers on it, is say you get triggered because when somebody is angry with you, something pretty general, right? Some people don't take that personally, some do. Some look to the circumstances in that other person's mind. Some just can't take angry energy, right? So say you get triggered and it takes you 1 or 2 hours to process your emotions and get back to where you want to be. And say there's a big experience that, could happen every so often. A boss is angry with you, a close family member is angry with you, there's a lot of emotion, and it takes you days to recover. Or say there's a major life event where you were near an angry person and that, that could take years of sessions in therapy and internal work to recover until you strengthen your system, right? So you could check the Akashic records for the exact thing to do to move through this as fast as possible. And while that could be accurate, part of the learning experience, part of the processing experience, part of the moving through these phases of life are to become who we're meant to be. It's like, this isn't to be cliche, this is to use a familiar example, like the caterpillar who dissolves, dark night of the soul, and then stretches and builds those wing muscles over and over again, like stretching out to failure and the fit muscle growth failure, concept, and then finally breaking free, right? So with your purpose, if we had a one-on-one session, if you hit me up and like, David, can you give me a session and tell me my purpose? I would only do that if there wasn't another way for you to align with it in a sustainable fashion, or if you're just like, no, David, my choice is to learn from you. It's not spiritual bypassing. This is part of it. Part of it is our relationship. But in general, for me, my purpose is to discover, improve upon, and teach the real magic of this world. And here's how this is tied to you and astral projection. When you're the soulful self and you visit the astral realm, you will encounter higher levels of truth, right? The masks of our personality don't exist. The person we're trying to be for the people in our life, the different roles, family, romantic, friends, professionals, school, strangers, right? We're often very mindful of how we're being perceived. Hey, May, good to see you. So we're often very mindful of how we're being perceived. So when you astral project, when you go out there into the world and into above the world in the astral realm, an order of magnitude more data than the 3D realm, just to use a model, you're not going to need to hide, right? If you're happy, elated, angry, sad, aroused, curious, whatever, you travel in a body that's more subtle than the physical body, right? You're not hiding with clothes or sunglasses. Sure, you can energetically hide yourself. But if you go to, say, a temple gathering and hang out with anybody else who's astral projecting to that temple gathering, meditation, or whatever it would be, your truthful self could be seen, and could even be seen more than you normally represented in the 3D, because all those masks of the body mind of this life, the conditionings, can fall away. Also, as you're astral projecting, you can look back at your body, at your energy body. Now, I don't want to get too esoteric and too deep in the woo, but there's a lot of validation for this, and it helps to have a model. So I always compare things to the physical, to the familiar, so we can draw those bridges. So of your body, of my hand, of my skin, say there's two layers of the skin, the epidermis and the dermis. I don't want to get too technical. Under the skin, there's fascia, the stuff that wraps around muscles, and then there's muscles. Through them, there's blood vessels. Under that stuff, there's bone. Inside the bone, there's marrow. And in all of it, there's DNA, right? So what are you, right? Are you a person, a collection of 100 trillion cells? So talking about the essence of you, the part of your consciousness that is non-physical, if you include a lot of traditions, you have a spirit, which you could call the astral body. So you have a spirit, you have your soul, your greater essence. It's said that we're divine and there's a spark of the divine. So that could be soul or something within the soul, but that's something to consider. In Tibetan and other traditions, there's a bliss body and a pain body. And there's many layers of the field. So Barbara Brennan, one of the most influential and quality, in my opinion, energy healers currently alive, that's mainstream known, especially here in America, talks about layers of the field. You know, you have a layer for each chakra, you have a layer for different things. So if you're skilled or habitual at managing your energy, then you can only show or emphasize your heart, right? This is telepathic protection if you're with a telepath or highly psychic person or astral projecting, right? So if you wanted to create a mask where you appear as more loving, or if you wanted to ideally be more loving, then you could focus on what you can see of your astral body energetically. And the value to this is if you want to be skilled in energy healing, just like if you want to be skilled in balance or strength or conditioning or physical endurance with your physical body, if you want to strengthen your spirit and astral body so you can move energy within yourself, help heal others, charge your food, affect the energy in a room, clear a room, exercise a room from dark influences, exercise, cleanse, heal other beings, working on the energetic plane, then when your physical eyes are closed, which a different science says is 80% of the input of our sensory brain at any given time, you have all this bandwidth for your brain as a filter for your body to understand what you see with your consciousness, your soul form in the astral realm, right? So as a soul, as this higher consciousness, you could see all of your energy bodies. Why hide from yourself? You know, there's answers to that, but ultimately, if you hurt your arm and it's hard to move your arm, you want to know if it's broken or sprained. You want to know ideally how to heal it. So if you're experiencing patterns in life of personality, of emotion, of ability, of self-sabotage, of abundance, of joy, of sadness, of anger, whatever patterns you're experiencing, instead of using your 3D psychological mind, you could pop out astrally and look at all your energy body related to all those things. Your root related to how grounded you are, your third eye related to how clear it is, how distorted it might be, you know, all that stuff, right? So just a little bit of housekeeping again. I generally do about 20 minutes or so of magical theory, background info, and then I go deeper into meditation. We're going to do more meditative work today and more astral travel today. So in about 10 minutes, if you've been following us, or even if you're just joining, we'll be starting in about 10 minutes with a guided meditation. So you'll just want to prep your body in any way you can think of and the space that you're in to be able to be led in a deep and powerful guided meditation, if you want. Okay, so the significant aspect of parallel realities and past lives is a bit of a preface I want to offer. You know, there's global healing meditations happening now all over the world, and many others I think that are being led by different groups. So it's a big frequency, and I wanted to offer part of that to be included tonight, because if you're with me and you were thinking of going to that, then here's a way to get a bit of both. And we're going to shift into a future probable timeline of this world, of this reality, where the whole pandemic is resolved and everything is good and peachy, and our world is better and stronger for it. And a realistic sense that we can come out of this individually and collectively so much stronger than, you know, any other alternative. And I think that's what we all wish for. We might think the probabilities are different. And so the key principles, as we discussed last night in workshop 2, is the more you send out positive emotion and joyful energy and hold a conscious attention in your mind with as much sensory detail with your 5 senses and 6th sense and 7th senses if you have them and notice them, the more we pull that in. And I say that, my fingers tingle, which is a lovely, lovely little component of activation. So as we're considering that reality, that timeline, and shifting out of this one, you might notice different spirits or different energies associated with the world, associated with health, associated with countries and regions. And we're going to look at all that, and I'm going to tune into that and guide you. Now, the reason I mentioned past and parallel lives This will take some imagination to get, so I'd recommend you close your eyes as I lead you through just a very chill visualization on essentially the multiverse. So we can get from, something fun and funky and woo to something actually practical that your mind can grasp. And the steps I'm going to offer to you will be part of the guided meditation, but they're a great warm-up for higher level spirit work. So if you close your eyes, and this is a brief version of part of workshop 1, if you close your eyes and you envision the surroundings of your room, that's your immediate surroundings. And if you viewed it from a higher vantage point, you'd see your neighborhood or your street, wherever you live. And a higher vantage point still, you'd see the outline of your state or country. And a higher vantage point still, you'd see the world. And we're doing this from ordinary mind consciousness, not in trance. So you can have the mental map and remember how you got here if you're not, in trance and you want to project and want to warm up. So you see the world, and now imagine a comic strip and cells on the comic strip, and the central cell of the central box of that comic strip is the world, paused at this moment. And then this comic strip box to the right, the cell to the right, is 1 minute in the future, and the cell to the left is 1 minute in the past. And so now from there you can expand and consider our world forward and backward in time. And just like, you're sliding something along, like, you have a row of bottles and you slide all the bottles over and more come from the right, then you can move forward and backward in time. So your vantage point can be here. You don't have to move. You can just simply, if you saw the movie Lucy, that's a perfect example. It was a great transmission. You can just go like this and spin the row of Earths and see the Earth a year from now. Now, if we're talking about differences in dimensions and we want to work with our 3D brains to explain 4D concepts, this thing with time, as a 4D, we explain 3D. So I'm going to reduce 5D to 3D as well, because, again, our brains are normally attuned to 3D. So if you imagine, so we have an X and a Y axis, but we're really only moving on one. If you imagine a Z axis, like Earths towards you and away from you, you could say the Earths that are closer to you, say you're 1,000,000 miles from Earth, and there's space for 1,000,000 other Earths between you and the primary one we are now. So those in between are Earths that you want, different versions of ideal Earths, and Earths behind it going out that way are Earths you don't want, dystopias, things like that. So those also go left and right, right? So now there's a whole cube, a whole box of Earths. To the right, there's future, and you could go to the right and towards you, which is future utopias. And you could go to the right and back and see future dystopias, right? And I don't want to go backwards in time because that's not valuable right now, but you could if you were curious on the different timelines that could have led up to this. So, but right before we start the meditation, just to finish this off for different potentials. So using the utopia-dystopia model, that's a bit of an extreme because if we took a consensus of what is utopia, that might be hard. Everyone has different definitions. But things like, no poverty and extended lifespan, and everybody's like peaceful and happy, and our Earth is completely sustainable. People can be creative and free, don't have to be trapped or imprisoned by the structure of the world. I don't want to get too visionary. We'll do that later, but just to stay in your mind right now, so your mind can integrate it. Imagine between each of those utopian worlds, there's different changes. And in between those changes, right in between worlds C17 and C18, there's little dots connecting these worlds. So you zoom into this cube of Earths, future, past, utopia, dystopia. And between those worlds, imagine just like a cloud of sand, right? Like the asteroid belt. And in that cloud of sand, that's all the little variables like nature and health and happiness and how animals are treated. And all those things can be interchanged at different percentages. That's a 3D representation of a more 5D concept, because if we're talking about the multiverse, there's a version of this Earth with pterodactyls and jetpacks that have been happening for 3 million years, right? We don't really need to consider that right now, but for higher or different manifestations, you could. But I found using this 3D model for a 5D concept helps us travel within it if we don't have continuous access to the states of consciousness where we are identifying with and as and of a fully 5D being. And I personally feel this makes higher spiritual practices more accessible. Because if you take a lot of the old Enlightenment teachers and a lot of the very traditional magical teachers, there'll be so much metaphor and mystery and poetry and obscurity that it takes people a long time to figure it out. And while in the past that was helpful because only the people who are smart and take initiative and are allowed information at the right times can get to the higher truths, now we have 18 million videos on manifestation and reality creation out there and spirits and everything else. And I want to make sure to give appropriate, healthy, and safe instruction. Now, for protection, there's a few elements that I include naturally, but I also like to include a healthy container that none of this information can be used to hurt or kill other people or force them to do things against their will or similar things. And anybody receiving this information is holographically bound from being able to do those or being effective with any magic I teach. And I just say that because this is going public and live, and you want to, anybody you could think of who might be a little dark, this prevents them from using it. Because if anybody uses a practice and takes it seriously, they take really the teacher seriously, and it's kind of hard to pick and choose. There'll be cognitive dissonance there. So I do other magical ritual stuff to add oomph to that. I don't want to fill this with a ritual of binding. But as we're right about to, in just about 2 minutes to go into the meditation, we have a couple questions, and I'd recommend them for the end, about 45 minutes from now. But in terms of purifying your body to astral project more often, related to eating meat, in terms of using different substances to get into higher states, I used to have experiences involving entheogens, psychedelics, etc., in small amounts. And I realized that for training, using crutches or shortcuts like that isn't really ideal. And there's all these supplements and practices to not need that stuff. But as you train, as you reach for these higher abilities, you might hear all these stories of different things that can be used and side effects and ways to mitigate side effects and access and legality. And if you can train yourself to do it naturally with techniques I'll describe and lead you through and help you with, you're going to learn in a way that's so sustainable that you'll be able to do it anytime, anywhere, and you'll be able to teach other people and go deep and do it often. And that wouldn't be true if you had to use something which, ideally isn't ideal to be used more than once in a while. Okay, so just to prepare for the meditation, we're about to start for astral projecting. I'd like for you to close your eyes and get in a comfortable posture and make any adjustments that are necessary so you can totally forget about your body. And as you're breathing at your own pace, slowly and deeply, inhaling all the air that could fill your lungs, exhaling and pressing your stomach in all the air that could be in your lungs. As you consider pausing, just for the count of Om, after each exhalation and inhalation, and just having a moment of stillness, I'd like to offer you the possibility that if any thought comes in your mind, you allow that thought to be taken and put in a box. And that box can look like whatever you'd like it to look like. And this box takes all your thoughts automatically, all your worries, your cares, your to-dos, your fears, your everything, and it slides all the way to the right. And Apollo, the god of healing, takes this box and pulls a wall over it, so you can't get to it. And you can say, Apollo, please give me my box of my thoughts at any time. But for this workshop, we're going to be shifting out of mind. And everything I just shared is in your subconscious, and so trust it. You don't need to remember anything. And just focus on breathing in and breathing out. And as you slowly breathe, consider any tension in your body, any energy colors or patterns that don't belong there. And every time you exhale, just exhale all those out of your system. And if you're in your physical body, imagine, visualize, but don't physically move. Imagine your body moving in some Tai Chi, some Kung Fu fashion, where the energy is just leaving your system. And as you exhale, that energy shoots out and goes out into the field to be purified through a beautiful rainbow funnel that just absorbs and sucks it away. And as you inhale, breathe in white light. And as you keep inhaling, that white light fills your entire being. And when you pause for just a moment, That white light is completely around you and radiating from you as an aura. And then you exhale anything dark. And at some point, you'll only exhale light. And so when you finish your exhale, you're going to breathe in and fill yourself with light again. The dark gets absorbed and sent away immediately. And at some point, continue breathing. This is a beautiful practice anytime you need to cleanse or strengthen or purify or re-energize. And as you keep breathing in that light, it gets brighter and brighter and shines out in all directions. And now as you exhale, you're exhaling light and it expands even further. It expands around your body. It expands out 3 feet in all directions. And now as you inhale and exhale at whatever peaceful rate, you're focusing more on the light. That light is so bright and powerful and rich at your core and in your body, and it just radiates far out, 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet, and it goes faster in all directions. You don't even have to do anything, just observe. As you're breathing, that light is going above you, in front of you, to your left, to your right. As you breathe either in or out, the light is extending back behind you and down into the ground. And it's always moving in all directions perfectly, no matter where your focus is. But as you rotate your focus and zoom out, you see the light in you so bright now it's beyond the sides of the building that you're in. And it's continuously increases at a faster pace, that it's an entire mile in diameter, this huge ball of light, and it's bigger and bigger. And that light, you feel its warmth and radiance from your hands. That light extends to the boundaries of your state. And it keeps going brighter and brighter. Now looking at the world, that light from you and your core as you is extending around the whole continent you are in the world, going faster and faster, spreading love and spreading lighthearted joy and just cleansing purification and divine light out throughout the entire world. It extends beyond the world out into space, and this light is going so far out, it's now touching the nearby planets in the solar system and expanding more and more. And this light is getting so big now, you see it expanding beyond the entire solar system and expanding beyond time. So pulling in the metaphor of time as forward and backward, you're seeing parallel universes going forward and backward in time, and the light is extending through the future timeline and through the past timeline. And as you just consider anything of the past, any memory or thought or state of the world in the recent or far past, it's full of light, and you see that it's full of different gifts, of different treasure boxes and stars, and each one is something to be grateful for and strengthen you. Everything that you used to would have say is bad or unfortunate, there's some treasure box of a gift, and even if that gift was covered in slime, inside is a precious gem. And you say a blessing to everything that you can conceive of in any past, that enough light gets in and fills the case, and the case opens, and the light of that scenario and the good of that scenario comes forth. And now going to our present day, zooming into our world, I'd love for you to consider moving around the world and shifting your awareness to different regions of the world. I want you to shift your vision to the city of New York, and I want you to consider moving as the awareness at a pace flying through the air. And I just want you to start maybe in the foothills of New York. If you've gone in the city, then go back, but just start in the beautiful, pure, pristine parts of that state and just be in the trees. And as you look out, have the intention to move your hand forward, but not your physical hand, and visualize a hand that is kind of a transparent hand, or maybe a blue hand that is your shape of your hand and your arm in front of you, and just move it back and forth. And as you move it back and forth, consider how you feel it, and now reach out with that astral hand and just touch the bark of the tree. Just put your hand on that bark and just see a bit of light expand from where your hand touches that tree. And just move your hand up and down the bark. Maybe imagine and see astrally what it feels like. See inside the tree and the streams of particles of light moving up and down the tree as it breathes. And going back, see the aura of that one tree, touching the auras around it. And see the beautiful, rich, red-brown roots and the pulsing aura of those roots connected with other roots, like holding together and purifying and strengthening and receiving from the soil around it. And just for fun, I want you to move around the tree in a circle. So in your astral form, and as you build your spirit body, you'll feel it. If you just think it's your imagination, that's okay. But in your astral form, slowly walk around the bottom of the tree. And do this not just seeing a tree move, but try to see the surroundings. Try to see the other spaces around you, the different patterns of grass and leaves and twigs and rocks under you. See the sky and the different patterns of the sky. And as you slowly walk around this tree, maybe with one hand out touching it, just notice your surroundings change. And just feel that forward momentum of moving forward. And now as you stop, I want you to look up at the tree. And remember, you're in your astral form. It can pass through matter. I want you to slowly rise up. And if you shoot up and move really fast, that's okay. But just imagine a rope tied to your feet that's slowly giving extra slack at a perfect rate. And you're slowly floating up the tree. And as you're floating up the tree, eventually you're above the tree and you're floating right above the leaves. Now, if you feel you have healthy control, you can let go of this rope. If you feel you want more of an anchor, you can keep it anchored to your feet very gently. And now I want you to consider flying about just 50 feet over to the right. Just look over to the right, see what you see in that forest or that park, and just kind of zoom over there. And I want you to go back to the ground and land. And if you went through the ground, that's okay. Focus on the sensation and feeling and knowing of standing on the ground. And now as you're standing on the ground, as you're looking around you, I want you to look over at the sun. And in your astral form, consider what the sun looks like. Does it have a halo? Does it have rainbows of colors and solar flares sparking and shifting in all directions? Is it giving streams of life-giving prana all to the entire world, and parts of the world and parts of people and things receive and recognize the sun's energy, and parts don't, for all the meanings of it? And now I want you to see a powerful thread of light from the sun while you're in a park and forest in New York. See that thread of light shoot out into the ocean, kind of far away. And I want you to rise up high in the air, a mile into the air, really fast, really enjoy it. It's a cool rush, and your astral body are completely fine. You look down, you can see soil, you can see city. And now you see from a better vantage point the angle of that ray from the sun energetically going to the ocean. I want you to fly faster and faster to that ray of light, faster than 100 miles an hour, faster than 200, 300. You might pass flocks of birds or pass through birds perfectly safely. The clouds are rushing past you on both sides. And now you are floating in front in the middle of a bank of clouds of this powerful ray of golden light coming from the sun. And you look down, you follow it down, and you see the waters of the ocean. And so just to have fun astrally, you materialize a zip line, and you put that zip line on top of that sun ray, and you just let yourself zip line down astrally down that ray of light onto right above the ocean. And where that light is hitting the ocean, there's a huge pool, there's a huge collection of white light that is diffusing through the ocean. And what we're about to do is see, feel, and know a healthy manifestation that is important, but that has less emotional attachment before we move to something greater. So as we're seeing the ocean, we're pausing and stepping back, and we have our row of Earths across time. And just for a second, we're going to spin that row to the right and look at the ocean 1 year back in time. And the same area of ocean, we're going to zoom into it in that reality and see pollution and radiation and heavy metals and struggling sea life and maybe bits of oil and plastic and just dirty. And we're going to zoom back and spin it to the right, where there have been some ocean cleanup efforts, and that chunk of the ocean is about 20% better. But now astrally, because we're seeing that bright ray of sunlight hitting the ocean, spreading that warmth and that white light, we see all these different potentials to the right, all these different possible Earths. We see one line of Earths where nothing has changed, We see one line of Earths where things are a little better, and we see one line of Earths where things are instantly perfect. That area of ocean is perfectly pure, no unnatural radiation, no unnatural heavy metals, no plastic, thriving, healthy, balanced sea life. And it's just purely perfect. Now I want you to ask yourself how many timelines are between those two, where it's say a 10%, 20% improvement, let's just go with 20, and 100% or perfect improvement. It could be 87,000, it could be 5. Just notice the differences. What will help us shift to the perfect timeline with this matter, and of course with the next, this is practice, is our conviction of knowing deep down that we as a consciousness are about to shift into that reality and project into that reality and enter a version of ourselves, a body and mind that's already existing in that reality in the multiverse. So we as awareness, above even our astral energy body, we as awareness have access to all time, place, and realities. So I want you to settle on what you, right now, rationally believe is possible. Whether it's a 0.01% improvement or 30%, just imagine over time, over the next 10 years, everybody who does this meditation, through replaying this video, through their own work, through other teachers, everybody visualizing healing of the ocean, whatever modality, envision after that 10 years what percent will be at. And the time frame is also relative. And so because of that, that actually provides a shortcut because you're not the only one doing this. So imagine 100,000 expert level magicians and shamans and witches and healers and Reiki masters and spiritual practitioners of every type, all focusing on the same bit of ocean. And the purity, that 100% purity, perfect element of this ocean, you see it and you hold it and you feel so good. You feel relieved and happy and kind of empowered. Like, yeah, magicians can fix things. Yeah, we can improve things, right? And just holding that knowing and that faith in yourself and that gratitude and that feeling that the ocean is that way. And now in that reality, I want you to plunge into the pool and in that water in your astral form, shifting back down to 4D for a second. And I just want you to swim around, astrally move your hands around the water, feel it in your astral body. And then I want you to astrally request or summon a dolphin to come over to you. It could be any other sea creature, but request a dolphin or a turtle maybe. And on this dolphin, you look into its astral eyes, it looks into yours, and there's communication. You can share thoughts and emotions. The dolphin sends a pulse of purple light that you accept into your third eye if you choose. And in that, you can see its youth. You can see its family. You can see when it played, when it was hurt. You can see the memories of its life. And over time, which doesn't really exist in the astral realm, you send out pulses to each other and you really, really get to know this being so well. And this being asks, who's going to take who for a ride? And you extend your astral hand and it extends its appendage and you touch and you swim throughout all the waters of the world, seeing them in their perfection, the Great Barrier Reef, the lakes, the trenches, the ponds. And then you fly up together in the sky and you choose to fly off wherever. You fly very fast to the Mount Kilimanjaro, and then you slowly begin to move around it and see the other mountains around you. You feel and sense that crisp mountain air, but you're not just the body, so that doesn't affect you in any way. You zoom into a little cave in the mountain and you see a family of holy people taking a one-year pilgrimage to meditate in the mountains. You zoom down over back to where you started in New York, and flying together, you see how things are there in this more perfect world. And then you zoom back to this present day reality and this awareness of what's happening. And now I want you to remember where your access was, and I want you to remember how to get there. And a faster way to get there, I want you to be in your room and you have a very special crystal. This could be astral or physical. And you look in that crystal and there's a little portal. And you as awareness fly into that portal, and that is a shortcut to this perfect ideal reality, perfect world with clean oceans and this amazing family and everything you wish to be. And knowing you have access, hanging out here just a little bit in this ideal reality, I want you to look back at New York, back in Italy, and back in Wuhan, and any areas that have been significantly affected by what's going on. And I want you to see the two worlds next to each other. I want you to see the perfect world, how you define it, on the right, and I want you to see our world as you perceive it, or you have perceived it in your 3D reality on the left. And being aware of both of these worlds, I want you to take your right hand astrally at this cosmic, really 560 cents, and I want you to take just one spark of light from the sun that it was sending to that perfect world, one spark of light in your astral hand, and you can use your physical hand if it helps you, and I want you to reach out and pinch a spark of that light, and it's infinite light. You're not taking anything away. It'll be replaced instantly in real time from that sun. And you're going to drag that over to our world, and it comes naturally and freely with no resistance, and you're going to gently drag that over and offer it to this world. Not attach it or bury it, but just offer it, hold it outside our world as it is, with all the issues that you feel our world has. Now I want you to zoom in. That's a freeze frame that will stay around. The thread won't move. I want you to zoom into this world as a planetary consciousness. And if you'd like help, you can say the phrase, I am Gaia, because we are all one and connected, and that is true in part for all of us at all times. And in saying and feeling, I am Gaia, that's actually a mantra I'm going to lead us in that can be very effective to take you in deeper trance. So you can say it with me aloud or in your mind, or substitute it for a different phrase if you prefer. I am Gaia. I am Gaia. I am Gaia. 5 more. I am Gaia. 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 And with that awareness of yourself as Gaia, as planetary consciousness, I want you to shift your awareness towards that beam of sunlight. I want you to feel grateful that you've been supported, rescued, saved, offered this. And with an open heart and a grateful heart, I want you to drink it in through your heart, the heart of Gaia, and feel that thread of perfect sunlight just touching you and connecting and allowing that perfect energy of that perfect world to come into your being. And I want you to see as your body, as the oceans, as the mountains, as the valleys, as the inside core, as the volcanoes, as the iguanas, as the trees and the people, all beings connected to you as Gaia, being infused with this white light energy as well, this yellow sparkles with this pure, powerful essence. And I want you to shift your essence to the part of you and the awareness to the part of you that's a region previously mentioned where they're experiencing difficulty, and see all beings in all scenarios, whether it's a hospital or a home or a sidewalk, being infused with that golden rich light. And now shifting into 4D in this shifting reality, I want you to zoom in to a person or scenario of your choice. And I want you to see them and feel yourself as them to the degree that you can, or as an observer if you prefer. See that those sparks of light going from the earth into them, and see their scenario change. See their facial expressions change. See any darkness that represents any concept that should leave. See all of that is being shifted away and them filling with so much light that they now go through their next minutes, hours, and days, inspiring and uplifting others. I want you to shift your awareness now to that future timeline where it could be several days or weeks or whatever you believe this will be reflected in material reality. I want you to shift to a newsroom. And I want you to see and stand astrally right in front of or right behind a conversation of the people working in that newsroom. And see the lighthearted energy, see the smiles, See the thumbs up that the camera is rolling and the newscaster smiling and says, "Isn't it great that things are back to normal?" And see the other anchor saying, "Actually, I think things are better than normal." And they start reading off the different reasons, and you, in your astral body, just float or walk behind them, and you see such a long page of bullet points about health of people and health of environment and health of a resource and shifts in the world. And it's a list so long, you wonder how they get through it all. And I want you to zoom in on that list and look at one line item. Read one line item to yourself in that list and how that world is different. Now I want you to look at that line item and see in the middle of it, maybe in the middle of a letter, a little portal. And I want you to allow yourself to fall into that portal. And in that portal, there's a doorway. And you're in a room and you see a doorway where you can go to any place in the world where that shift has been expressed. So for one example, we can see a hospital. And in this version of this world that we are pulling in and manifesting and enriching as part of our world, connected with that perfect world, seeing these shifts not as a different world, but as our own, as an eventuality, I want you to astrally project around that hospital. And I want you to see people walking slowly. I want you to move through the floors and see a lot of rooms completely empty. I want you to see a relaxed classical music concert and people sitting next to each other. And afterwards, hugging each other. And I want you to see workshops where people are hugging each other. And I want you to look out the window and see off in the distance different types of scenarios where people meet and they have no face masks and they're shaking hands and they're smiling at each other. I want you to zoom over to an open restaurant where people are dating again. And I want you now to zoom to the space, the living space of somebody you know who's been having a very hard time. And I want you to see them thriving. Maybe you can even go whisper something in their ear and offer it to them for the possibility of them hearing it, that this reality is coming. And as you say that, you also reassure and affirm it to yourself. Now I want you to allow yourself to be pulled gently upward through the ceiling of that building, above that building and its roof. I want you to go even higher until you're back in the clouds, even higher till you're above the world. And see now that stream of radiant light that you connected. I want you to see the entire world as connected to those streams, hundreds, thousands of the streams of light. And remembering that there's so many people who are doing this, so many literal light workers who are bringing in streams of light. And our world as a whole is glowing brighter and brighter, stronger and more pure, more fast. And there's so many of us working to bring in this reality. And I want you to see that and feel so grateful and joyful that it's not all on you. That no matter what you do or have done or haven't done or anything, even if you are absent from this practice, just observing and knowing in this moment, there are so many others shooting and bringing and pulling and offering light into this world, that it's such a shift. And I want you to remember somebody who you look up to, who inspires you in a healing, a spiritual, a service person, whoever they are. And I want you just to kind of see their astral form somewhere around the world, bringing in their own rays of light. I want you to fly over to that, around and over and through all the other streams in the middle. And I just want you to put your hand in their stream of light and feel its energy, feel its possibility, feel how it's different than yours and similar to yours. And now look over at that person doing their work and just ask to connect. And know in that moment that they see you and that you two are supporting and acknowledging each other. And I want you to consider in this moment of shifted awareness and higher possibility, you offering a phrase to this person and them offering a phrase to you, and setting an agreement that the next time you two talk in 3D in your next conversation, one of you is going to say that phrase and then the other one of you is going to say the other phrase, unless you both say it at the same time. And this telepathic communication with the spirit and astral form of the person you look up to, it doesn't matter your relationship in the day-to-day world, this connection is a telepathic message and is practiced in basic level telepathy. And when it occurs, have a knowing, if you can, that it will occur in the 3D, that will be validation from the universe that you have been successful at this ability, at astral connection, astral communication. And with that person, I want the two of you to look over to somebody that you would have been liked to spend time with, but haven't been able to. And I want you to astral project to where that person is and ask them first if you have permission to do so. And when you get permission, shift into their space. And don't aim or try to focus too hard on seeing their physical body unless you can. If you can, absolutely, and recall the details, what color of a shirt they're wearing, the art on the walls, what the carpets look like, etc. But I want you to see their astral form, their psychic higher self-awareness, and have the knowing that the two of you can communicate. And understanding, looking at their energy body, looking at yours and seeing, does this communication through the crown and third eye, does this get taken in and integrated as a truth through the throat, through the fifth chakra that's blue? Does it stay as a communication as a feeling in your heart, which is green? Say you have something you'd like to share with them about their identity and their will that you share. Does that get absorbed and known in their third chakra? Or is it blocked? Say as the two of you are talking, if there's resistance and the light of the second chakra might look a little less bright, or if there's a beautiful connection and it's very, very bright. And you can look at this too for any other concepts of the second chakra. And then with the first, how open is the first? You send a pulse of light to them into their astral body. Are their chakras, and especially the root chakra, receiving of and taking into that pulse? Which means if it was, they're much more likely to fully take in your transmission in the physical realm. And there are groups of people around the world as you continue sending pulses of communication to energy bodies. There's groups of people who astral project and join together at certain times and have a party in the astral realm. Literally, they talk, they teach, they play, they laugh. What we are doing here is just a step towards that. Now I want you to shift and hang out in whatever vision you'd like. And consider in a vision you working on a creation or working or playing with other people. I want you to think of the ideal, fun way you can enjoy astral projection. And I want you to do it now. And if that feels difficult, I want you to see just different cells or images or words of what that would look like. And whatever you're experiencing, I would offer for you to add one more element of detail. In your astral form, imagining what the smell might be, knowing astrally what the smell is developing this clairsmelliance. I want you to look over to the left in whatever setting this is, and I want you to focus your clairaudience to that setting and notice with your inner ear, what do you hear? And I want you to see your astral form reaching out and touching something or someone and just having a knowing of that sensation. I want you to ask your mentor, your spirit guide, your guardian angel, any of those words, your guru, any of those words, whatever you use or don't use is fine, your mentor, your role model. I want you to see them there. You're like, hey, can I please ask you a question? Say their name. And you see their higher self instantly there in an astral body as well. And you ask them a question. And you receive an answer. And you realize that you can have counsel with this being as well. And now you're developing clairsentience, clair-knowing, crown chakra. And if you can hear it in their voice clearly, there's some clairaudience. If you can see them, there's clairvoyance. If you can shake hands and really feel sensation of that, that's another extra sense. And now I want you to look at your astral form. See your guide, your mentor, as offering for you, along with me, to look at part of your astral form, your spirit body. And I want you to focus on the space between two certain chakras. And you know which two chakras you want to focus on. In the space between those two chakras, you see a flow of energy. And that flow of energy and the healing and strength in those chakras is whatever it is. And imagine just one of them needs work. Now shift your awareness up and out to the sun and grab one of the infinitely abundant rays of sunlight and just now take, and this time attach that ray to the connection of or one of the chakras and see it being infused with golden light and seeing that flow improve, seeing that light brighten, seeing darkness shift away. Seeing the comic strip of likely events in your life as changing. You look at the past, you see what that was with the theme of this topic. You look to the right, and you see the things that you would like to see, feel, hear, create, experience. You see those manifestations, experiences of the strengthened, healed chakra connection as being true. And now you see this and you know this. And you can do more later, and you do want to feel some sense of unfinishedness. I'm pacing this appropriately to build in you a desire to do more. So I'm helping you build the habit. So I want you now to see somebody else's astral body, somebody you feel could use healing support who has asked you. And when you ask their higher self gives you permission and consent. You do the same thing. Whatever area they need help with, it could be something in their life, and you might know or just have a good guess of the chakra that's themed with. And you reach up, take a ray of sunlight, connect it to their astral form in that area, and like an infusion of energy of starlight and sunlight, they get a pulse of energy, and that does the same thing. That purifies, heals, and strengthens their energy body. And I want you to look over in a different direction, and you see a computer terminal. And there's a sparkly terminal of light where your higher self is seated in a chair. And your higher self is looking at and directing this version of the matrix. Using that in a healthy word, so we could say simulation instead of this, the program behind the hologram of 3D reality. That's a collection of light. That's a collection of probability. And you can see any line item for any possibility that you think about instantly. It's like a telepathic super Google. And you say, what is the energetic health of X, of a topic? And you see an image of the energy body of that topic, of that person. You say, what is the probability of Y or Z happening? And your higher self says, you type it in. You take the agency. You don't need this as much support from me in this moment. You are me in this moment just a bit more by allowing your will, your third chakra of action, to come online. So you move over the terminal and you type in what you need to type in, and it shows the probability of something happening being a number. And then you type in a query, what do I need to do to make this number go up by a certain percentage? And you hit enter, and then several options come up. And you take your finger and you touch the screen for one of the options, and instantly you allow yourself to go into that part of the computer, into that reality, into that world, and see the step-by-step process for what you do, how you do those different things. And now that probability has shifted from the first number to the second number. And any one moment for any of those actions, you can zoom in even more and move your awareness into that version of self. See that type of energy. Connect a thread of a certain color from that part of that simulation back all the way through into your current reality, and have the knowledge, the information, and the resource to do those things. And just to play with this with something we could all use more, go back to the computer, type in what is an ideal way for me to breathe better for my health and energy that I'm ready right now to shift into. And you hit enter, and it gives you a suggestion, and that suggestion is one time of a 5-minute practice that you've always for a while been thinking it'd be good for you to do more. And you see the description of that practice, you touch it with your finger, and you zoom in and you see yourself doing that practice. And with your finger, you just pinch and connect an infinite thread of probability from that potential back all the way to your current astral body. Now you feel whenever you're about to want to do that practice, you remember that cord, you connect it again, you allow a pulse to come from that reality to your current one, and now you have all the strength and resource and energy you need for that to occur. And I just want you to feel that thread, that cord. I want you to reach out with your hand and touch that cord of energy, that astral thread that you attached, and see how it touches you. I want you to consider all the threads that you've attached. I know you feel it. I want you to feel the energy coming in, where it comes from. Again, we could spend 2 hours on this for all the areas of your life, but if you've done this, you have this skill. If you want to practice more, you can re-experience this video, this audio transmission. I want you to allow yourself to fall backward, back through seeing the computer, back into your present day reality, back into your room in your present body. And now with this astral sight, seeing the energy around your room, I want you to consider faint energetic cords from you to maybe 2 different objects in your room, one that might support you a lot and one that it might be time to change. And I want you to see the probabilities of timeline if you take an action associated with each item, how that will shift the cord. And just take a second and see yourself doing those actions. And with each cord, I want you to touch it. With the cord of the thing that has to change, maybe you get rid of something, maybe you clean something, just zoom into that cord and sense its energy. Sense the energy of that object and how it's affecting you. Really know it. Don't just have it as a to-do or thing you think about. Really see the energetic relationship. And just as an experiment, you can reattach it with or without doing something with the physical object, because you're in your astral form. I want you to take your finger, which is pristine and uncorruptible astrally, detach that cord from your being, and just put it back and tuck it in that other object. I want you to tune into yourself and see, how do you feel in the presence of that same object, but now no longer being affected by it energetically? And if there's more than one cord, just imagine a very, very powerful fishnet, or your hand moving very fast and taking away all of them in the span of 3 seconds. And now that you've done that, you have the permission to reattach the cord if you choose. You don't have to. It will not reattach unless you give it verbal permission. And I want you to see the thing that strengthens you and zoom into that beautiful cord and really feel that energy and really see, wow, this really does something good for me. Now I want you to step back and we're going to do something else. We're going to do a different fun skill building exercise here. I want you to feel that cord and feel how you're nourished by it. And know that feeling and know that colors of the cord and the pattern that creates that cord. And now I want you to take it, and with that knowledge, maybe have a notepad astrally where both of those things are listed. I want you to detach that cord from yourself and notice how you feel. And now with that notepad of those 2 qualities, I want you to look in any direction, maybe turn around 180 and look in a different direction astrally in your room. See what's there. Look down, see your astral feet. Look up, see the ceiling. And I want you to take your hand astrally, and you can do this physically. And I want you to move your hand, put your hand in a fist, extend your hand out, and as you open your fist and spread your fingers, you open a portal in thin air. And through that portal is the essence of the quality on your list. It could be calmness, it could be power, happiness, love, joy, alignment with true self, whatever that is. And it's a portal to that realm of that energy. Now I want you to reach in with that same hand. That portal is open and will stay open until you choose to close it, or you set up an automatic close after time. And you reach in and you pull out a cord of energy from that portal. And it's naturally giving, it's naturally abundant, and you attach it to yourself, into your heart. And you feel a pulse of energy and you feel, wow, you feel so good. You feel just as good, if not better, as with that object. And just feel for a minute how you can access the energy of that object from anywhere with this skill. And every time you practice this skill, every time you re-listen to this meditation, maybe even 10, 50 times, you strengthen this skill to the point where now zoom out and look at your day-to-day life as it has been, as you feel and know it's going to shift into after the first time you've done this practice, the second, the third time. And I want you to feel a desire, or if you have lack for anything in your system, this is seeing the light or the shadow, allow yourself just a tiny bit to see or feel the lack. And now do the same thing with your hand. Take your hand, move it out, spread your fingers, open the portal to the resource you need. And instead of looking for the thing or the person or the food or the anything, I want you to open a portal to the quality that strengthens you or that shifts you or levels you up in the way you want. Reach in, take a cord, attach the cord to yourself, and now you are nourished and whole in that dimension, in that realm. And it feels good, right? That lack has disappeared, that desire has been satisfied, at least in a strong energy sense, in a strong felt sense. And I want you to zoom out even more and see a list of cells, like vertically see maybe whatever capacity you have for visualization, 2, 5, 10, 15, 100 of yourselves in any timeline, of all your desires, of all the things you feel you need to be happy and whole and just really good, living your best life. And I want you to see those things as highlighted, green or red. And anything that's red represents something you feel you have to get or do to be at that state. Just have a knowing that for any of those items, you can do the same thing and open a portal. And just right now, pick one of those red items that you think has so many requirements in life, things that you have to do, things that you have to get, things that you have to avoid. See one of those things where there's a requirement for you to feel joy and love. And extend your hand as a fist, extend your fingers, open the portal, reach in, pull the thread of the energy of resourcefulness, bypassing all those activities, and attach that cord to yourself. And feel nourished. And now from the sense of nourishment, see those activities that could have strengthened you if you did them, that could have shown maturity and personal growth. And with this point of being resourced, I want you to go through those motions to do those things from a different intention, right? If it's a legal or financial or relationship matter, what we're doing here isn't seeking to avoid the matter, but we're seeking to not need the matter to occur, yet honor our responsibilities. And this is being in the world, but not of it. This is a spiritual being having a material experience, and this is you as your inner adult and your inner child. Your inner child has unlimited freedom. Your inner adult does what is right for you to do. And your enlightened self, your liberated self, to whatever degree you feel that is choosing the emotional state, is choosing the life experience by controlling your internal circumstances through your creation of portals, to nourish yourself in all the ways you wish, need, call for, and hope for. And you're going to remember this no matter what transpires during or after this meditation. This is in your subconscious, and when you really need it, you will remember this exercise, and these words will return to your mind, and the visualizations and felt senses will return to you, because your highest soulful self has a perfect memory. And now shifting to the world and reality of your choice, shifting to that perfect world. Realizing that in anything of your perfect world, how people treat other people, the state of the environment, ecosystem in any part of the world, any general topic of health or well-being, you can see a quality that maintains that and that supports that and that continues that. And that quality has a name, and you can create and see images for that quality as an experience in the 3D. And thus you have access to a portal. That is that portal, and you can extend your hand into that quality, into that visualized scene, have your fist, open your fist, create that portal, reach in, pull that quality, and attach it to whatever you want. And imagine you're holding that quality as a thread of energy in your right hand, and in your left hand, you materialize a sphere that represents something else. It could be this world, it could be a single person. And you connect the ideal energy from the portal to the other thing. And this is such high level energy work. This is 4 and 5D level energy work. If you consider the concept of somebody who could use health support and somebody who likes Reiki and all the science that shows how Reiki can help people, and you consider holding a sphere of that person's reality in their left hand, including their consent for this, freely given, and you consider a portal of a Reiki master, some excellent high-level skilled Reiki person, and you take not that person, but you take the quality and strength of their energy, that they're a healer 10 times, 20, 50 times more effective than, say, a new Reiki or Qigong or energy healing practitioner of whatever modality. And the quality of mastery level healing, you reach into that quality, that you create the portal, extend your hand, open your fingers, of that quality of mastery level healing, and you take that thread of energy and you connect it through to the life and the reality of the person who would like for you to help heal them. And now once it's connected, you pull your hands away and you see how they're getting a constant stream of energy, a constant stream of healing, a constant stream of light. I want you to go back to the computer terminal. There's another one. It's a beautiful, pristine, healthy, benevolent computer. And I want you to see a screen that shows the probabilities. And I want you to see the probability expressed as their full recovery, their full health, going up, and you see the rate. Maybe it goes up 1% every hour, 1% every day or week for that specific topic. And under that, I want you to see a line that says 100% change will be reflected in physical reality and there's a time frame. When you have the knowing from the work we do together, and I want you to focus on that time frame and maybe even connect more chords if you can as I continue to talk. Do it lovingly, do it calmly, resource yourself so you're not coming from need, you're coming from aligned, neutral benevolence, where you're remembering your divine heritage and divine abilities in and through this moment. And as you're seeing these probabilities shift, you can see on a different screen for your terminal, what will it take for that time frame to be now, to be instant perfect healing. And you say, look at a different screen for reference, and that screen is the manifestations you've done in your life. And the manifestations that were instant, you see that time frame in seconds or minutes or days. And the manifestations that took a long time, you see that time frame in those actions. And the manifestations that are still processing, you see as processing, and you see there's a relationship between energy and other factors. And maybe one of the things where the manifestation is still processing, you double click that, and it says unmet requirements. And there's karmic things there. And there's soul contracts and agreements in that list of things that are the requirements that need to be met for the shift to be instant. And I'm going to leave it up to your initiative and will to do projects of those requirements, but you can use the same framework to go deeper into worlds, into resourcing, into probability changing, into support from a mentor. Everything we've covered today are skills that you can use and reuse for any element of change in your life. And you're going back to earlier and shifting back to the space and time, shooting above and higher above the world, where you see yourself and all the light workers and all the streams of perfection going into this world, into this reality, and tying all those threads of light. And knowing you can fly into one or feel one and do it now, pick a different thread and a different being and feel their intention and their quality and their speed and presence. And realize you can shift to this at any time. If you ever want hope, if you ever want optimism, feel and see this. And I want you to see the ones that are connected to a mainstream news story and allow your intuition and other parts of you that are helpful to actually find the real-time news story reflecting the change supported by this energetic shift. And I want you to know that if you're curious about science, you're curious about validation, you're curious about legitimacy of these practices, you're curious about how these are actual reality creation and not some fantasy, how this is legitimate, just like breathing is legitimate. I want you to ask that super Google computer, that divine computer, what you need to do to find that information. And it gives you an answer. And this is real information that you can trust. And I want you to see yourself and see the parts of you that battled accepting the highest spiritual truths. And I want you just to see them as a big room that's a collection of stuff. And every object in this room, broken chairs, giant statues of dinosaurs that are covered in mud, just like a junk room. All of those things are mental blocks. One thing represents skepticism. One thing could represent an aversion or a fear or a trigger. And a possible to-do list for you, including all the tools we've mentioned, is completely clearing out that room and validating it through those new stories. And as you realize this, and as you spin the versions of this world forward in time, you know there's a time when that room is empty. And empty in a healthy way, in a grounded, realistic, validated way. And there is no more limitation for you. And you see a cause you would like to see shifted, and you connect the portal or do a different technique, and the shift is instant, and there's no doubt or resistance or hesitation. Now I want you to, as a higher dimensional being, shift away from what we did here and take every practice we've done, every example, everything you saw, felt, experienced, take every one of those things and see it as a different cell, a different animated, just freeze frame picture or moving video if you can. And just a big wall of those. We did so many things today. And know that like a touchscreen, you can touch any of them and replay it at any time, and it will replay in a version that's right for you, or you can replay this transmission digitally and re-experience it and retrain and rebuild and re-strengthen. And just remember that that access is always there. Just remember that moving through all of this deep stuff so fast, faster than your mind can object to, throwing you into the experience, jumping into the pool, making you swim. This has built your skill and proficiency in a way that simple mental consideration wouldn't do. And as you shift back closer to where we started, where you're in your room, and behind the wall to the right is your box, and in front of you is this massive, massive holographic treasure chest of, say, 12 different things, a row of 3 going horizontal, row of 4 going down, just 12 screens, even if some you can't fully see right now, just 12 things we did. And I want you to see that hologram just maybe as a big poster, and you can arrange them or rearrange them however you want. And I want you to make the decision to look around your room astrally, or if and when you're ready physically, and decide where to hang that poster. And if you really want to take this next level and have a gift of a free session for me, I'm going to give a free full-hour session to the first 3 people who do this to actually make a digital graphic of what this looks like, of these 12 items. And I will create a poster for you and have it drop shipped to your house, because this project will inspire so many people and you. And this is part of my gifting back and service to others, and dangling a carrot of extrinsic motivation on a string for you, which is always sometimes a nice boost for an advanced practice. This may be a 2-3 hour project, but it's so worth it. And so see in your room where either astrally or physically or both, you're going to put this poster. Again, if you want to get complex, you can move things in different positions, but first, to make it easy to memorize, maybe put this poster on the back of your door leading out from your room so you see it every time you're about to leave your room, or any other place that feels good, on your ceiling above your bed. So you can review it when you wake up and when you go to bed. And this poster of these 12 possibilities, these 12 skills, these 12 resourced areas, at any time you can tap one with the finger, dive into it, re-experience it, strengthen that skill. Become a master healer. See everybody and every light worker who's benefiting, helping, healing, strengthening the world in their own ways. And remember that. Have the fun of going to a forest or hanging out with another being at any time. Strengthening your ability to experience and benefit and grow from any or all of those things. I want you to consider any change in reality you would like to see, and then knowing there's a reality where that exists, and connecting chords. I want you to see all the times where you could feel a need or a lack or an unpleasant emotion for something outside of you to occur. And then see and remember that you can create a portal to the resource that you would like on an energetic and spiritual level, draw and connect that to you, and every time it'll be stronger. Every time your experience goes up a percentage. some percent. I want you to be realistic about your life and know that everything can go in ebb and flow, and that there will be times when you are stronger than before and possibly weaker than before or not the same. I want you to see the times when you do this every day consistently and where you may have time periods where you elapse in what you want to be a habit. I want you to practice Ho'oponopono and forgive yourself and love yourself and be grateful to yourself for all of it, because you have an eventual knowing of where you'll be. And even if it's just a faint wish or a dedicated knowing and desire, consider the things that you want to be habits to do daily in real time. Pull in so much energy that your body is more efficient at healing and detoxing and strengthening, that you naturally need less sleep and you naturally detox better, and you have the science to validate it, and you can thrive on an hour less sleep a day with nothing else changed, except you've now invested some amount of time up to an hour in these practices. I want you to see the possibility where that grows even more, where you gain 2 hours a day and it only takes an hour of practices, and you can change these numbers to whatever you want. And see how doing and taking on these practices to strengthen yourself spiritually, strengthen you mentally, physically, energetically in this manifestation realm, and how the version of you you always knew you would be, with these abilities, with this awareness, with this powerful badassery, you have the option to move towards that. And you will get back more than you put in, because that is abundance. And just feeling this abundance of possibility, feeling the high return on investment of your time and energy, that every time you do this, you get back more. Just consider in this moment of truth how high of a priority this is for you to do. And any answer is fine. Any answer is good. And consider if you want to create or alter a routine that you have, a morning or evening routine, something that you always do before or after you brush your teeth, something you do in your daily meditations, but some concrete structure, because we do always love and benefit from that with our left and right brains, where you will have one practice you learn from today. And I would just offer to decide now to do it every day for 5 minutes for 1 week, starting after this video, starting tonight. And if you say no, that's okay, but taking one practice 5 minutes a day to continuously strengthen yourself, even if it's just reviewing the poster or connecting one portal or doing both for 2.5, I don't care, but 5 minutes of practice a day, add it on. Guess what? You can look into the timeline where you've been doing that for a month. You can look into the timeline where you've been doing that for 15 minutes a day and see the benefits that got to you at all areas, taking even sleep out of it. Talk about your happiness and your manifestations and your health and all those qualities for those around you. See the probable future of this version of Earth 30 days in the future, where the only change is you have this practice that you've done each day. Doesn't that feel awesome? Isn't that inspiration to do that practice? Isn't that not just now not just the logical, but also now the felt sense that it's worthwhile for you to make the shift, to take on this practice, to commit to yourself? And it's not like, oh, I have to do this. It's a to-do list. If I don't do it, I'm bad. It's, oh, wow. There's like $100 bill sitting on the ground, and it'll take me 5 seconds to pick up, and it's perfectly sanitized, and I'm going to pick it up, and you pick it up, and you got $100. This is obviously way better, because you can do it with virtually anything. So as we're about to shift away from the meditation, I'd like to offer to you 2 options. Option 1 is I explain the reasons behind what we did a bit more. You could tune in. Option 2, if you get those reasons because you feel awesome, you can take out some way of writing notes where you won't see notifications or messages or anything else. And you could write down the inspirations that come to you. Or if you like to voice note, you can put me on mute and voice note those things and really capture them. And if you don't want to do that, I recommend you do that right after this workshop. Don't do a single thing. Don't reply to a single message unless it's absolutely urgent. Don't do anything else except maybe go to the bathroom or drink water, and just record how you feel about this and the reasons why you want to do this in any format. A video to yourself is best, even with the screen off, or the screen on black if you don't want to watch yourself in video, but just record as powerfully as you can how you feel. And it's more important with what's going on in the world now than ever. If whatever you create, something handwritten, something typed, a picture, a video, an audio, if you feel comfortable sending it to me, If you would like feedback, or you'd like for parts of it to be able to be shared with others to inspire them and uplift them and show them what's possible, then we can talk about that as well. And I'm open to that for everybody. So now we're about to start to shift from our visioning back to the workshop as it's been. We're going to shift a little bit back to the mental. So I'm going to help you integrate and return to a regular state of consciousness. And if you've been deeper in trance, I'd like for you to just touch your fingers together and just move your fingers back and forth. I want you to take a deeper breath than you've been taking. I just want you to slowly rub your hands together and slowly, lightly take the palms of your hands and place them on different parts of your body. Maybe move them around a little bit, maybe scratch a little bit, maybe gently squeeze a little bit. And when you feel ready, slowly, maybe in light flutters, slowly open your eyes. And if you want to close your eyes again, that's okay. If your eyes have been closed and you've been focusing deeply and your brain's released DMT as your visions got richer, you might not want to open your eyes, and that's okay too. You don't need to. Though there won't be anything where you need to open your eyes in the next few minutes. And if you feel that, that's a big props to your success because you were really deeply in it. So as you consider everything we did, this workshop actually turned out to be extremely advanced. And while there might be some workshops which just teach one skill very deeply, I prefer to trust your intelligence. I prefer to trust and know the version of you which has mastered this, which can claim this, and which, if you care about it, you will do the work. Because even if we just took one skill, the skill of a portal for joy, and not any of the other stuff, that could ingrain in you, and you could have that, and you could walk away with that as a solid skill. But if you were deep in this meditation, you would come away with 12. And unless you follow, and watch all my videos and come to all my events, if you like these 12 skills, this is the best way of giving you a lot of powerful high-level skills at once and helping you really have a toolbox, kind of like a liberal arts education. Now, there is a way for you to take in more of these skills at one time. And that way, and that practice, is really for you to do them and for us to be in this supportive relationship. If it's only physically one way, if you're only watching what I share, then you're receiving information, just like you're reading anything or watching anything online, and that has benefit. If you're tuning into me psychically and you're feeling the energy I'm offering, we have a psychic relationship. If we have a 3D relationship, that looks different. There's more energy, there's more support. Maybe at any time you watch this video and anytime you rewatch it, you post a comment. And then you're sending energy towards this video that will result in helping others see it and helping me, because I look at every comment, helping me be aware that you're continuing your practice. If you comment like dogs or something random, or thank you like 40 times, or even just a dot, that's an energetic and a 3D relationship. If you comment with substance or send me a DM, or if we start working together one-on-one, or you attend more workshops, or all of those, that's a deeper relationship. And so for me, offering this transmission, the deeper and stronger the relationship we have, per your complete comfort. If we have nothing after this ever again, you don't even want a single thing I do, I'm cool with that. But I'm also completely cool with and happy to serve any extra ways that I can support you and this material can support you. Because I feel very blessed to have the awareness and the practice to be able to offer what I have for you. And it is relatively high level compared with a lot of the stuff out there. It may or may not be the highest. I wouldn't say it's the highest because there's a lot of masters who've been doing this quite a bit. But this work is transformative. As you do this work, as I do this work, it elevates us. Offering these transmissions, my energy body and my system used to be not as attuned, not as strong, not as robust. And now that I do these and I've taken care of myself in other ways, instead of needing 4 or 5 hours to recharge after an hour and a half, 2-hour workshop, it strengthens and energizes me. So while I stand the whole time and I take care of my legs a little bit, I can go right into doing anything I want to do. I could meditate, I could work, I could give somebody a session, I could go for a run. Well, maybe not run right away, but I could do regular exercise. And the key thing for you is if you ever feel burnt out or tired after doing this work, it's because you're moving more energy through your system. And if you feel tired, think if you exercise. If you exercise and feel tired, you might need biochemistry, protein, carbohydrates, minerals, healthy fats, electrolytes, and that will help restore your energy faster and it will help build your endurance. And then the healthier your mitochondria, the more muscle mass you have, and anything else related to physical health, usually the more endurance you have. So the more you can do, the longer you can do it, the better you can do it, and the more resourced, energy, healthy, energized, strong you feel after doing it, right? You haven't run in 3 years and you're extremely out of shape. You try running for 10 minutes, you might feel crappy. You run every day, you run for 10 minutes, you feel good, you want to keep doing more. So there's a few things I wanted to offer you to help you build your capacity. And this was a 2-hour container. So um, I'm going to offer you about 10 minutes of stuff to build your capacity and share why. So you could do more of this work more often while feeling awesome doing it. And that the same is true for all of your spiritual practices, or most of them, I should say. Um, but I think this can go with all. And then I'm going to offer you a few other ways where you can receive engagement and support from what I do. And then I'm going to answer Q&A. So if as I'm talking or if anything I shared earlier, if there's a burning question you have, either post it in the Q&A or post it in the comments of this Facebook Live within the next couple hours. But ideally sooner than later, because if it's on your mind, may as well get it out there. And every question is good. No question is too simple or too complex. Um, so your capacity, physically, if you try to run or lift weights in a way you're not physically conditioned, you might have soreness or damage to your body or pain that will take time to recover from. Energetically, if you move a lot of energy, we talked about this in the previous workshop, you might move energy through a block, more energy than used to, and that block may rise to the surface, and you may have a healing response or a detox response. It could be runny nose, it could be very thirsty, it could be cramps, it could be irritability, it could be the resurgence of symptoms related to a wound at some level that's associated with the topic or chakra at hand. That's perfectly natural, right? If you have, a muscle cramp in your leg or a tight muscle, when you stretch it, that stretching isn't always pleasant, but it's good for you. And then that cramp goes away and it's healthy. So if you get a healing response and you're like, oh, this part of me is cramped, I'm trying to use it more, but like a Charlie horse when you go swimming, that's because maybe you didn't warm up properly or some other factor. So that's okay. I eased you into this and we talked about being resourced. So I did my best to give you resourcefulness. But if in this or any practice you feel depleted in any way after, then building your capacity will both prevent that and allow you to do more. So I just would offer to you that this could have been a very intense practice you might need recovery time for. So anything healthy that you feel you want to do, or anything, I guess, if you wanted something unhealthy, just, balance it out. And forgive yourself and be okay with it. Try to choose the best you can, or decide to choose the best you can. But the more you do this work, the stronger and better and easier it'll be. So when I mentioned 5 minutes of daily practice, I personally do 3 hours of spiritual practice alone. I consider this as creating things like this for you to be spiritual practice. I consider my life as a spiritual practice, but more intentionally, right? I haven't yet in the past I can remember gotten to the practice where I see, vacuuming as a spiritual practice, but it totally can't be some other time. Okay, so there's a couple things that are resources I'd like to mention. So a little disclaimer, this isn't health or medical advice, and talk to any of your professionals related to that before making any choices. I'm just sharing what I use, and there's a chance you'd have a similar experience, but do your own, research and take your own responsibility for your own health. So this is called Ultimadium. And if you're curious on how to get it, you're supposed to comment and I'll let you know. And if you have questions about it, this is a group I heard of that has platinum group metals. And I have in the past had heavy metal sensitivity, and I haven't reacted to this by putting this stuff in my body. Um, what this does is this will boost the connectivity of your energetic system in such a significant way that you can hold more energy in you, right? So you might have had an experience where there's so much energy in you that you might be shaking or maybe even feel anxious, especially if your root isn't as online or your feet aren't as online in terms of energetic health and strength as your third eye might be and other parts of your system might be. So this will build your capacity as a whole. And if you work out one muscle a lot and not another, the protein you eat will go to the muscle that's needed because those muscles are repairing. So that's the intelligence of a physical body and how your metabolism manages that energy. So your energy body, I know different types of energy using the same word, but you know what I'm saying. Your energy body will do the same thing. As you take in more capacity, more prana, it will move that prana elsewhere, wherever it's needed. So if you have something like a crystal, I have this big, beautiful amethyst right here. So amethysts, as far as energy go, have certain energetic qualities and certain purification qualities. And so if you need to be resourced energetically, create a portal, but if you feel it takes resource to do that, having something like a crystal or a sacred object or holy water, having a video transmission where I'm offering that to you, having a session, connecting with nature, taking it in from the sun, healthy food, these are all ways of building energy. I'm actually going to hold it up here so you can draw energy. You can see this amethyst as a portal, and you can just draw in energy to replenish anything you want to replenish, or you can send in anything you want to have out of your system purged or healed or cleansed into this crystal. So hopefully this can help you a bit. I'm just going to hold it in line with my head so the camera autofocus won't make either one blurry. So this is also a beautiful asset for you. So let me just move my window a little bit so I can see questions on Facebook Live. So as you are considering other ways to learn about this, I wanted to offer a few other things that I provide. And this will be if you would like to learn more through me or from me in whatever format works best for your brain. So if you like these videos, I have a lot of free videos on YouTube. I have a lot of free videos on my website. And if you go to my website and you subscribe to the newsletter, I send out stuff on there a couple times a week. And I don't share your information with anybody, I really treat email as sacred. I also send out info and future workshops by email. And I'm the most active on Facebook. So when I post an event, I post it to my personal page, my professional page. It limits you on how many people you can invite. But if you send me a message and say, like, add me to your invite list for events, I'll add you to a specific friend list, which is a Facebook feature. So when I create a new event, you get invited right away. And then if you access this through Eventbrite, the link that should be in the description here of magicalgoldenage.eventbrite.com is also updated every time I have a new event. So you can access it that way. So that's the workshop format. And most workshops are an hour and a half to 2 hours. Every single one is recorded. And the recordings are easily accessible on my Facebook Live for about a week. I post a lot. And so they get buried after that. And if I record something for members of Wizard School, which I'll explain in a second, then the live video might be hidden, but the recording would be shared to people who get a ticket. And right now everything's free and donation based. For some topics that might change, but for now I'm just trusting and allowing and working like that. And all my past videos are available through Magical Golden Age. There's a website, wizardschool.magicalgoldenage.com. There is my email. I send out emails on how to get that. So if you want dozens of videos on deep topics like how to open your chakras, how to purify your aura, how to rebalance your body if it's unbalanced energetically, things like psychic protection, third eye opening, manifestation, the whole gamut of topics, and going very deep into them with homework and practices and spell recipes. You can find a lot of that in Wizard School. So if you like books, I have a book out as well. It's called Magick is Real. It's one of 7 books in that series. There's an Audible and a Kindle and a paperback. So you can find that on Amazon by David Solomon. Also, the link should be in this description. And if you would really like to have it, but financially you're really in a space where you have to watch every dollar, I do gift the PDF of that out for free. So it's a different experience than the others. So if that's the case, just comment on this video or shoot me a DM and I can send you the PDF. And I care about being of service. I care to sustain, and the more support that you send over through what I mentioned or through Patreon, where I can give you free energetic, actually it's not free, but Patreon, I can give you energetic support each week for different magical topics. Me being able to do this constantly and more often It's just based on me being able to sustain in the material world. So any energy sent both ways help that, and also supports the global change. So if you feel that these topics help a global change, then you supporting these topics being created help more people get access to it. And on the higher end, if you've read Magick is Real, chapter 13, The Future of Magick, and I haven't said this in past workshops that often, I talk about building 3 temples and a new city of Atlantis. And that Atlantis would be the pinnacle of a golden age that is realistic and achievable in our world. So the apex, the pinnacle of what we can do spiritually and technologically. If you can imagine a community of healers and compassionate, spiritual, open-minded people, and big astral projection groups, and the best science that can take a desert and make it beautiful, like what Israel has done, with their greenhouses and their trees, their incredible irrigation, pulling water and purifying it out of the air. And there's a lot of devices for that. It's really cool. So, that's something high level. The first temple would be the temple of Lakshmi, who is the goddess of wealth and abundance. And if you don't believe in that word or phrase, then just consider it the aspect of all reality or God or whole or whatever you hold as, eternity that is personified as a goddess that represents abundance. But the temple of Lakshmi, here she is. She, talking about wealth and abundance, that temple is going to provide housing and work opportunities for people who are homeless. It's going to have a lot of courses on material things related to money, spiritual things related to money. And it's just going to be a big temple. And it's going to be unique in that it'll be transparent and open sourced. So a lot of people who teach spiritual concepts have like their temple and their thing. This is going to be, I'm going to be like, yo, who thinks that they know, the best of what as a world, Ivy League PhD level stuff we know related to the topics of abundance in all forms, right? Money is the thing that comes up for most of us, but abundance in all forms. What's the best way to teach that? How can we have the curriculum be public? How can people come in? And yeah, that is an intentional community, thank you. And how can people come in and learn these things, right? How can we reframe the concepts we have about these things and work on the lifestyle that we really want to have related to those topics? And how can we boost it for others in the world? I heard a while ago that, and this may or may not be true or no longer true, but I heard that for a time, when the US was giving food aid to certain impoverished countries, those countries didn't receive that food because of political issues, not because of a shortage of food, right? What about abundant resourcefulness or abundant cooperation, allowing that food to get to those people? So abundance is really in every form, but yeah, I mean, monetarily, a lot of us have been affected or know people who've been affected by not having that vibration. So there's Lakshmi, there's Aphrodite, and then there's Thoth for magic. And I don't want to go over time, but those are all described in Magick is Real, book 1, last chapter, The Future of Magick. And that chapter is like the longest in the whole book. So those are gone into in a whole lot more detail. So now for Q&A, if you have a question, please post it, and I'll answer anything that comes up. And I just wanted to start off and kickstart things until a few questions are posted with the possibility that your ideal dream life is more accessible than you thought. So, right now we're in ordinary mind, everyday consciousness, as Locke Kelly would describe it, or one way he might describe it, or my version of it. I love you, Locke. I want to represent properly, but it's been a while since I read your book. But if the everyday ordinary mind, thinking and talking in the 3D terms, not out there in trance in 5D, these exercises are great for motivation. These exercises are great for clarification. Even if you can't trance and do these as deeply as you did with me just now, you will build the circuits and the support. If you've ever worked out in a gym or fitness class, that's very different from working out alone on your computer. We've probably all experienced that, if not very recently. And you also know that if you build up in the right ways, maybe optimize your environment, psych yourself up, do whatever you have to do, you could have just as good, if not better of a workout from your bedroom, not even just your living room, from your bedroom as you could in a class, right? That will take some time to build that skill, but are you abundant in time? Are you abundant in resourcefulness? Are you abundant in your choice to do that 100 times or 10 times or whatever it takes, so you can have the same level of just fitness with this example, but in the energy example, the same level of shifting of magic of energy work as you experience in group? And that's just not this video, that's any spiritual event you go to anywhere, right? Because if you eventually want to be a leader, be a provider, be a creator of your own thing, or if you are already and you want to take that to the next level, this has the concept of need. Oh, I need to be in this, I need to be in that. And it's doing the portal thing to resource yourself. Now, the validation part I mentioned earlier is, say you had a really deep, powerful experience just now, and you try to do it on your own, and you get a little bit of it, but maybe you get like 20% there. And you try it a few more times, and it hovers between 20, 30%, but it doesn't really go above 30. And so every time you watch or rewatch this video, you get something deeper because, of the transmission of the container of everybody psychically, collectively doing the same exercises. This video is watched 7 years from now. That person will have all the benefit combined of everybody who's watched it before, because it's strengthening it in the group field. It's strengthening the presence of the transmission. That's why things that are very old often have a lot of power, because a lot of people have used those. Thanks, Anne. Appreciate the applause. So, one example of this is the military salute or the bow. If we didn't grow up knowing what the bow meant, we could say a bow could mean anything. But because we usually associate the bow with like respect and honor and love and peace, you can bow, and that carries so much power, gentle power. The military salute has a different power, and that's been ingrained in our culture so much, we get it. So as I teach more advanced spells, which come later with hand motions, I have one on YouTube called How to Repel Bullies, or a spell for bullying. It's a very powerful, super wizardy thing. Then as we have those anchor it and embody it more. So because we've been talking about the astral body, I only included one movement, which for a portal is like this, if your eyes were closed the whole time. Again, from a different angle. Right, so that's the hand motion, if you wanted some clarity on it. And as you're considering your spiritual growth, as you're considering your shift to your ideal self, as you're considering how you might lead or teach, even if it's to one person, whoever it is, these are offerings to you to perform at higher and higher levels. So I think that might be it for now. I don't see any additional questions. I really appreciate serving you. It's really been an honor. The next astral projection workshop, going even deeper, more advanced, more fun, will be this, I believe, Tuesday night, and it's already up. You can already get tickets. And tonight I'm going to do my best to create the rest of the series of 13. Somebody asked for that recently, and I thought, yep, that's smart. And you'll be able to see all of them and register for all of them. And as always, whenever you get a ticket for a workshop, you'll get access to the recording to be automatically emailed to you within a few days. And I'm going to do my best. Eventbrite can be tricky with this, but I'm going to do my best at Eventbrite checkout to have an option for getting all the previous workshops all at once. So say you miss workshop 3 and 4, and at workshop 5, you have an option to get workshops 1 through 4. And that's going to be a reasonable rate. It's not going to go up to an extreme amount. But the easiest thing, honestly, is if you're subscribed to Magical Golden Age, I'll repeat all this there, at least how to get stuff. That being said, the series of 13 workshops is meant to be as a whole curriculum, as a whole series of things that go together and build off of each other. Now, each individual workshop can stand alone as a useful transmission. So if you know somebody who would really like the exercises in one video, and on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you want to share this video with them, they don't need to feel pressure to watch the whole series, nor do you, to get the value. And in fact, you might have some percentage of the series or all of it that you take in. So, number 3 was awesome. I want number 3 to be the one I keep watching and keep absorbing and comment on to say that I've watched it and build that energetic, receptive container. And the other ones, maybe after I rock out 3, it'll be number 6 or number 2, but I'm going to prioritize 3. That way, if you want to build depth, because we're covering breadth as well, if you want to build depth, I'd say focus on that one key area. And if you do that exercise, and again, I really encourage you as soon as this is over to even just sketch it out. Doesn't matter how good it is. It could be single words, those 12 boxes. Every time you do anything related to this, it does boost and build and level you up and support you in all the ways we've talked about. So I want to offer lastly that if you feel any desire for any of this science, just comment below that you'd like to see it, and I'll post a link about magical science. I have a research library I've been building, and there's so much out there. And some of the links are portals to pages with hundreds of research papers. So we're entering a phase of reality where there is physical validation for concepts which used to be just considered mystical or woo or spiritual, but potentially fantastical or non-existent. And some of the research is very cutting edge and not widely distributed. Other research is distributed. So I heard from Joe Dispenza that in parts of Russia, there's biophoton measuring devices, so essentially aura photography. And in the certain hospitals, they'll take a photo of your aura to measure the quality of your energy field. And if you don't have enough energy represented to heal from surgery, they don't do the surgery. And when he said that, there was a round of applause. Now, I haven't flown to Russia and inspected everything, right? However, he's a pretty public figure. He is a doctor. He has a lot of people who take his stuff and look at his stuff. I think, that statement of his is trustworthy. If you want to fact check that, you can dive into that. But that's just one example how we have a concept that's a bit more esoteric that's coming more mainstream. Before that, we had acupuncture. It used to be considered super woo, and now it's insured like all over the place, at least in the US. So these high-level dimensional portal things we're doing, while they can feel very real spiritually, if the mind, remember that room of junk with a broken dinosaur covered in mud, that all those resistance things in the mind, I'm not just saying trust that they're out there. I'm not just saying shift to reality where they're out there. They're out there. I had the opportunity to have a career as a Silicon Valley tech entrepreneur in this, crazy big lucrative AI education field. And I set that aside and 6 figures of funding aside, because what I'm doing now feels much more aligned with my soul and feels much richer and ideal and aligned and right for my life purpose, because it helps inspire you. It helps empower you. And whatever changes you want to make in your life, whatever upgrades you want to have in your life or your spiritual practice, whether they're related to shared goals of a golden age and temples in Atlantis, or they're completely unrelated and they're just your thing, like I'm here for you to grow and realize your highest, truest self in the realm of being a complete whole being. And as beings, they say we're mind, body, spirit, and spirit's a big thing, a big area. So it's been super fun serving you. It's been super fun having this workshop and transmission. I really, really appreciate it. If you think of anything else related to this topic, just post it as a comment to this post, and I'll reply likely within a day, and answer you there. If it's something personal, you could shoot me a DM. And if there's anything else that you need or you'd like, or you have a request or suggestion for a future workshop topic, please post it, and I'll do my best to consider very seriously including it. And especially if you've been with me for more than one of these, I trust whatever you post is also likely to be of value to other people. So with that, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you. And I wish you all things you wish for yourself. And I hope you have a beautiful, happy, perfect day.